Hello everyone. This is our sixth lecture on descriptive statistics of FIBAC class. Dear students, up till now we have discussed how to find arithmetic mean for data sets of three types. When we have n individual observations x1, x2, xn, then arithmetic mean is given by x bar, which is sum of all observations divided by number of observations. In case of discrete frequency distribution, when xi is the value taken by the variable with corresponding frequency, say fi, then arithmetic mean is defined as summation of fi into xi upon summation of fi, or which is equal to summation of fi xi upon capital N, where capital N is sum of all frequencies. Further, in case of continuous random variable, or in case of a variable which is of continuous type, we have a data in terms of class intervals and corresponding class frequency. In that case, we find out midpoint of each class interval and let us denote it by say xi, then arithmetic mean is given by summation of fi xi upon n. So, these are the original formulas of computation of arithmetic mean. Now, when we have data of large size, when class intervals are very large, in that case what we do? We try to use a shortcut method. The shortcut method is, it is something like this. If x1, x2, xn, xk are midpoints of the class interval, then you consider any arbitrary value, say capital A, which is nearer to the center of the xi values. Then and suppose h is the length of the class interval. Then we write down a new variable ui is equal to xi minus a upon h. So this is actually step down method. That means variable x is transformed to variable u by the transformation ui is equal to xi minus a upon h. Then we use this ui as your new variable. Then you compute fi into ui, and then your x bar will be a plus h into summation of fi ui upon capital N. So in this way we can compute arithmetic mean for the given data set. Now there is a one term which is very popular in statistics, which we call it as outliers. So outliers are the values which observed at the extremities. One of the drawback of arithmetic mean is that arithmetic mean is very sensitive to extreme observations, that is outliers. So sometimes when we have outliers in our data, because of some reasons, the arithmetic mean is misleading. That means arithmetic mean is not the true mean which we should say for the given data set. Therefore, sometimes some observations in the data set fall outside the usual pattern of the data, and such points are called as outliers. The extreme observations are said to be outliers, and since arithmetic mean is very sensitive to these outliers, one has to ignore these observations, and the procedure of ignoring these observations is called as trim of the outliers, or to find the trim mean. Generally the trimming factor is alpha percent, means you will ignore alpha percent observations from both sides of the your range set, and in this way we can find out trim mean by deleting some extreme observations both on the sides. So generally we find out 5%, 10% or 20% trim mean, and it is denoted by x bar t. So this is the example in order to show how to find out the trim mean. Suppose in the class there are 20 students and their weights are given like this: 50, 28, 32, 30 up to say 60. So these are total 20 observations. Suppose we need to compute a trim mean. Suppose 5% is the alpha value. Then in that case what we'll do? You first think, well, the first and most important thing is that you first arrange the observations in increasing order of their magnitude, and then if you compute 5% of 20, that is n. So 5% of 20 is 1. So you delete first observation observation from the lower side, first observation, one observation from the upper side, so that you will have total 18 observations which are in the middlemost of these 20 observations, and therefore you find out mean of this middle 18 observation is called as 5% tree mean for given data set. So in this case you just delete observation 26 and 60, so that your arithmetic mean is now 39.78. Okay. See, if you compute arithmetic mean of all observations, when you have total 20 observations, the true arithmetic mean of these 20 observations is 40.1, and now tree mean is 39.788 by deleting the lower alpha percent and upper alpha percent observations. If we take alpha is equal to 10%, so 10% of 20 is 2. So you delete first two observations from lower side, first two observations from upper side. Therefore, your arithmetic mean become sum of all middle 16 observations divided by 16. So value is 39.75. So in this way, we can compute arithmetic mean by trimming some of the observations is called as trim mean. Now, what are the properties of arithmetic mean? We know that arithmetic mean x bar is defined as summation of xi, sum of all observations divided by number of observations. Therefore, using x bar, you can compute sum of observations by writing n into x bar is equal to summation of xi. The second property of arithmetic mean is most important, that if you take sum of deviations of all observations from arithmetic mean, the sum becomes 0. So if you take summation of xi minus x bar for all I equal to 1 to n, this if I evaluate it, it will be summation of xi minus summation of x bar. So summation of xi is n times x bar. Since x bar is constant, summation of x bar is again n times x bar. So n times x bar minus n times x bar is 0. The third property of arithmetic mean is that arithmetic mean is change due to change of origin and change of scale. So change of origin and change of scale is one of the technique for reduction of your data. Suppose you have observations x1, x2, xn, and you think that these observations are very large, and in order to reduce the values in the data set, what you do? You consider any arbitrary value, say a. You subtract that value from each value of x1, x2, xn, and divide it by some another constant, say h. So if you take ui is equal to xi minus a upon h, these are the deviations of xi from a by scale h. Then you just compute x bar is equal to u bar h into u bar plus a, or your new value of u, new mean will be x bar minus a upon h. That is, when you transform the variable x to u, by this transformation, your value of x bar depends on h as well as a, or you can write it as x bar is equal to a plus hu bar. That means your new mean of x has both a and h as some constants. So your arithmetic mean depends on change of origin a and change of scale h. Another thing I want to mention here is that when we have two groups, suppose I have 45 male students in a class and 50 female students in a class. So total I have 95 students in a class. Suppose I have arithmetic mean of say observations are marks in say 12th standard with me, and x2, so x1 bar is arithmetic mean of 45 boys, marks of 45 boys. See, x1 bar is with me, and x2 bar is arithmetic mean of girl students, and n2 is number of girl students in a class, n1 is number of male students in a class. If I combine these two groups together, so in all we have now 95 observations. So using x1 bar and x2 bar, that is arithmetic mean of marks of boys and girls. If these are with me, if I number of observations in group 1 and group 2 is with me, I can definitely calculate the arithmetic mean of all 95 observations by just using a simple formula n1 x1 bar plus n2 x2 bar divided by n1 plus n2. That mean is called as combined mean because I have combined two groups together. Now here can you see n1 x1 bar is sum of observations or sum of marks of 45 by twice. What is n2 x2 bar? n2 x2 bar is sum of sum of observations, that is sum of all marks of girl students. So n1 x1 bar plus n2 x2 bar is nothing but sum of marks of all 95 students. So it is again by the definition, it is sum of all observations divided by total number of observations, that is 45 plus 50, that is 95. So you can obtain combined mean for the combined group. Now I will just have the definition of weighted arithmetic mean. So weighted arithmetic mean is again one type of arithmetic mean in which one has to consider the weights of the observations. So what do you mean by weights? Weight is the relative importance of that observation in the data set. Generally weighted means are always used in computing index numbers. So in arithmetic mean, if you compute your simple arithmetic mean, x bar is x1 plus x2 plus xn upon n. That means you are giving same weightage, that is 1 by n, 1 by n, 1 by 2, all observations. But in weighted mean, you have to give different weightage to different observations. For example, if I have three types of tea powder, say A, B, C, okay. Suppose your powder A is say 200 rupees per kg, powder B is say 300 rupees per kg, and powder C is say 500 rupees per kg. If I add these three powders together, that means A plus B plus C, that is the total amount, the total quantity of the tea is now 3 kg. If I mix these three powders together of three qualities, I have now 3 kg in my hand. So what would be the average price of that quantity, okay, mixed quantity. So in this case, observation 1 has 200 weight, observation 2 has weight 300, observation 3 has weight 500. So my value of x1, x2, x3 is 1 kg, 1 kg, 1 kg. Therefore, my weighted average will be 200 plus 300 plus 500 divided by 3. Okay. So in this way, you can use the definition of, we can use the weighted mean, arithmetic mean for observations. Now suppose this is observation, this is one example. Suppose the numbers 90, 35, 20, 55, 70 and 75, these are the observations and their weights are say 6, 5, 4, 2, 2 and 1 respectively. Then what is the weighted mean? So by definition, weighted mean is equal to summation of wi xi upon summation of wi. So you just take, you just multiply each observation by the respective weight, add those values so that the value becomes 1120 upon total number, sum of all weights is 20. So my weighted arithmetic mean for this set of data is 56. This is another observation. A class of 30 students took a geography test. 20 students had average marks, average score of 65%, and the remaining students were sick and took the test in the following week. They had average score of 77. What was the average score of the whole group? So here we have, this is the example of either weighted mean or this is the example of our usual combined mean. So in this case, N1, 26 student has scored, so N1 is 20 Wi. Weightage of 26 students is 26 and their average score is X1. X1 is 65. Similarly, the remaining 30 minus 26, 4 students is your weight W2 and with X2 observation is 76. So my weighted average is see you can say W1 X1 plus W2 X2 upon W1 plus W2. The value is 66.6. So in this way you can use the definition of weighted mean. Now, what are the merits and demerits of arithmetic mean? So, there is usually one question: define arithmetic mean and state merits and demerits of arithmetic mean. Actually, when you are comparing different types of means, because we know that we have three types of computational averages, namely arithmetic mean, geometric mean, and harmonic mean, and two types of positional averages, that is harmonic mean, your median and mode. So, median and mode are your two types of positional averages. So, further we can have tree mean, further we can have our weighted mean. So, we have several types of averages. For a particular situation, when you are using some special type of average, you must know merits and demerits of all the averages, so that for a particular situation you will use the correct mean. So, merits of arithmetic mean as it is rigidly defined, that is defined with the help of definite mathematical formula. Second thing is, it is very easy to understand for all of us, and it is also easy to compute. Further, one of the merit of arithmetic mean is that it is based on all observations, except when you compute tree mean, when we have extreme observations. If you think the extreme observations should be deleted, in that case you can compute tree mean. Otherwise, arithmetic mean is based on all observations. Further, arithmetic mean is capable of further algebraic calculations or treatment. That means when we have x bar, when you have n, you can always compute sum of all observations. Further, if you have arithmetic mean for one group, if you have an arithmetic mean from second group, then you can find out the combined mean for combined set of observations. If you have k groups with k arithmetic means and k number of observations, n1, n2, nk, then you can find out arithmetic mean for all these combined k groups. And most important property of arithmetic mean is that it is least affected by sampling fluctuations. That means, when you see our whole statistical concepts depends on sampling. So, suppose there are 1000 students in a college, and if I ask my students of FIBSC class to take a sample of say 50, these 50 samples are very different from each other, and if I try to say obtain your arithmetic mean for your observation of or your observations of interest, then the arithmetic mean should not differ due to your sampling fluctuations. So, this is one of the important property of arithmetic mean. There are some demerits of arithmetic mean, that is, it is a quantitative measure, and therefore when we have qualitative type of data, we cannot use arithmetic mean. And most important property of arithmetic mean is it is affected due to your extreme observations or your values which are very far away from your center, which we also call it as the data which is very you can say outliers. Okay, so the word for this extreme observation is outlier, that is arithmetic mean is affected by outliers. Further, we cannot compute arithmetic mean in case of open-end classes, because while computing arithmetic mean we have to consider xi as the midpoint of the class interval. But when we have open-end class, that is in the first class lower limit is absent, in the upper class of the last class upper limit is absent, in that case we cannot compute midpoint of the class interval, and therefore in that case arithmetic mean is indeterminate. Further, it cannot be determined by any graphical method. See, in forthcoming lectures we will discuss mode, median, positional averages. Both median and mode can be determined graphically with the help of histogram and less than type or more than type cumulative frequency curve. But this property is absent for your arithmetic mean. That means arithmetic mean cannot be determined graphically. Further, arithmetic mean cannot be the value of the actual observation in the data. For example, if I have data of this type, say number of children in a house. Suppose I have 50 families and observations are 0, 1, 4, 2, 1, 0, 2, 3, 1 like this. If I compute suppose arithmetic mean, and if my observation is comes out to be say 2.4, if my arithmetic mean comes out to be 2.4, so 2.4 you cannot interpret like this, that is there are 2.4 on an average children in a family. So 2.5 is something odd for us to say that it is number of children in a family. Therefore, this is again one of the demerit of arithmetic mean. Now, the second type of average, which is of computational type, is called as geometric mean. So, actually, we have this definition long back in the 11th standard. So, if we have say n observations x1, x2, xn, arithmetic mean is nth root of product of n observations. So, arithmetic mean is very important in order to average rates. The rates may be either population increase rate or rate of interest or say percentage. In that case, geometric mean is very important in order to average your rates. So, if we have x1, x2, xn observations, then geometric mean is nth root of product of n observations. It is sometimes very difficult to find out nth root of product of n observations. When xi values are very large, it is very difficult to have product of n observations. Sometimes it is beyond our capacity. So what we do? You just take one transformation. You just take logarithms. So when you take logarithm of gm, it is 1 upon n summation of log of xi, because x1, x2, xn, if you take logarithm of x1, x2, xn, that will be log x1 plus log x2 plus log xn. So divide it by 1 by n. So you take logarithm of xi divided by n, and in order to find gm, you just take antilog of log gm. So gm is equal to antilog of 1 upon n summation of logarithm of xi. In case of frequency distribution, when we have data of the type xi, where xi is midpoint of the class interval, then geometric mean is, you have to first consider product of xi raised to fi for say k classes, and then you take nth root of it. So by using the same logarithmic technique, gm is equal to antilog of 1 upon n summation of fi log of xi. Actually it should be I is equal to 1 to k. Remember that this is not equal to n, this is I is equal to 1 to k. Now, suppose we have 5 observations, or here it should be comma. Note that here it should be comma. Suppose we have 5 observations, 4, 8, 3, 9 and 17. So, how to find geometric mean for this? You just product of these 5 observations, 4 into 8 into 3 into 9 into 17, and then take fifth root of this product, which is 6.81. The another method is that you just take logarithm of this. Suppose if you take logarithm of this, suppose 5 observations are with me, and if you want to compute geometric mean of 45, 60, 48, 100 and 65. So can you see the product of this is very large number, and if you take fifth root of it, it is again very difficult for us. So what you do, you just take logarithm to the base 10 of these 5 observations, take the sum of logarithms. So logarithm of summation of logarithm of xi divided by n, that is number of observations, that value is 8.925, that is this sum divided by 5, which is 1.782, and you take antilog of 1.785, that is 60.95. So in this way, by using your usual technique of logarithm, you can find out arithmetic mean for the given data set. Geometric mean for given data set. What is your arithmetic mean? 4 plus 8 plus 3 plus 9 plus 17 divided by 5. Now suppose this is my frequency distribution, and in this case the classes are in the interval 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40. So what I do, I first compute my midpoint of the class interval 5, 15, 25, 30, that is sum of upper limit plus lower limit of the class divided by 2. So this is my mid value of the class interval. Now these are the frequencies which I have written here, and n, sum of all frequencies 20. Then what I do? I will take logarithm of xi, midpoints. So these are logarithm of xi. Then you take fi into logarithm of xi. That is this value multiplied by frequency, and summation of fi log of xi is 23.2739 divided by 20, that is sum of all observations. The value become 1.1613. So this is my log g, and therefore geometric mean is equal to anti-log of 1.1637, which is 12.58, anti-log of 1.1637 to the base 10. So in this way you can use this logarithmic technique in order to find geometric mean for this type of frequency. Here also one example. This example you do of your own. This is just for your reference. Now the third type of computational mean is harmonic mean. What is harmonic mean? Harmonic mean is reciprocal of. See, the definition is, it is a reciprocal of arithmetic mean of reciprocals of observations. So you first take reciprocals of all observations, then you add them, then take arithmetic mean of reciprocals, and whatever you will obtain, you take reciprocal of that, which is called as harmonic mean. So harmonic mean is, it is a reciprocal of arithmetic mean of reciprocals of observations. So it is, if you have n observations x1, x2, xn, you first take reciprocals 1 by x1, 1 by x2, 1 by x3, 1 by xn, then take the sum and divide it by n. Whatever answer you will obtain, in this way you just take reciprocal of that value. Or you can write 1 upon hm is equal to 1 upon n summation of 1 upon xi. So in case of frequency distribution, 1 upon hm, 1 upon harmonic mean is equal to 1 upon capital N summation of fi upon xi, or hm is equal to 1 upon n, I is equal to 1 to k, fi upon xi. So this is the same definition where we use arithmetic harmonic mean. Harmonic mean is generally used in finance in order to average multiples like the price, earning ratio, etc. So also harmonic mean is used in market technicians in order to determine the patterns like Fibonacci sequences. Suppose I have 3 observations, namely 1, 2 and 4. Find the harmonic mean of 1 to 4. So first take the reciprocals 1 upon 1, 1 upon 2, 1 upon 3, add them, so it is 1.75. Take the average of reciprocals of observations, that is divided by number of observations, that is 3. So 1.73 upon 3, and you take reciprocal of this value, which is equal to 3 upon 1.1.75, which is 1.714. So in this way you can compute harmonic mean for given data set. Can you see? So if you take arithmetic mean, 1 plus 2 plus 4, that is 7 upon 3. 7 upon 3 is 2.33333. If you take geometric mean, it is cube root of 1 into 2 into 4. So it is cube root of 8. So cube root of 8 is 2. So here arithmetic mean is 2.333. Your geometric mean is 2 and your harmonic mean is 1.714. So in general, arithmetic mean is always greater than or equal to geometric mean, is always greater than or equal to harmonic mean. So harmonic mean is less as compared to your geometric mean and arithmetic mean. So here also one example I have taken. Here I have suppose observation 1, 3, 6, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. So how many observations are there? 6. So and with corresponding class frequencies are fi. So you take reciprocal of 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 like this and multiply it by your frequency, class frequency fi weightage. So what is summation of f upon x? It is 7.879. So harmonic mean is capital N upon summation of f upon x is 42. Sum of all observations is 42 and 42 upon 7.879, which is 5.331, which lies between 5 and 7. So my harmonic lies between 5 and 7, which is 5.331. Now I will discuss some Merits and demerits of arithmetic mean. So the first thing is that it is rigidly defined, that is defined with the help of mathematical formula. Further, it is based on all observations, and we can compute it with the help of algebraic formula. Further, the harmonic mean always provides a reliable results about the center of the data set. Also, it provides the highest weight to the smallest item of the data series. So it also take the cognizance of your extreme observations or your outliers. Further, it produces a skewed distribution of a normal distribution. Further, demerits of harmonic mean are: harmonic mean is greatly affected by the values of the extreme items. So it cannot be able to calculate when any of the observation is 0, because we cannot take reciprocal of observation 0. Note that we cannot compute geometric mean when some of the observations are negative or 0. See, any of the observation is 0, product of n observations will be 0. Therefore, we cannot compute geometric mean as well as harmonic mean when any of the observation is 0. Further, we cannot compute geometric mean when any of the observation is negative, because we cannot compute square root or any square root of your negative value. It becomes your imaginary number. The calculations of harmonic mean is somewhat cumbersome. That means it is harmonic means formula is difficult to understand for common man, and therefore this method is not very popular, just like your arithmetic mean. Further, harmonic mean has one of this application, that it is applicable in order to average, say, speed or rate. The example is like this. Suppose one travels 10 kilometers at the speed of 60 km per hour, and on another 10 kilometers he travels at the speed of 20 km per hour. What is its average speed? So naturally you will take it as 60 plus 10 upon 2, but this is not true, because in order to see, in order to have proper average, see, the first 10 kilometers he travels at the speed of 60 km per hour. Therefore, for 10 kilometer, for first 10 kilometers, he require how much minutes? So for 10 kilometers, he require 10 minutes. Okay, and for another 20 kilometer or another 10 kilometers, he will require 40 minutes to travel. So what is the definition of speed? Speed is equal to total distance upon total time. So total distance is 20 and total time is 10 plus 40. So 10 plus 40 is 50 minutes. So it is 20 upon 50, 20 kilometers. So total distance is 20 upon total speed is 50. So total distance upon total time is, so the answer becomes 30 km per hour. So it is harmonic mean of 2 upon 1 upon 60. So you take reciprocal of 60, reciprocal of 20, and if you do this algebra, the average speed is 30 km per hour. Okay, so you try of your own. So total distance is 20 upon total minutes. Total minutes is equal to 50. So that will be your speed in kilometer per minutes, that you have to convert it into kilometers per hour. In case of frequency distribution, how to find out harmonic mean? This is one of the extra example which I have given here. You just go through this example and try to find out your harmonic mean. Now, what is the relationship between harmonic mean? When we have two observations only, say x and y are two observations, then in that case this particular relationship always holds. What is that relationship? Relationship is arithmetic mean into harmonic mean is equal to geometric mean square. That is a into h is equal to g square. Okay. So for any two observations, this relationship always holds good. For example, if you have two numbers, say instead of x and y, let us take a and b. Suppose we have two numbers a and b, Then what is my arithmetic mean? It is a plus b by 2. So 1 upon arithmetic mean is 2 upon a plus b. What is geometric mean? It is square root of product of two observations, that is root ab. So what is geometric mean square? It is a into b. Also what is my harmonic mean? Harmonic mean is 1 upon 2, 1 upon a plus 1 upon b. So if you solve it, what is my HM? HM is equal to 2 upon a plus b upon ab, or 2ab upon a plus b. So this is my harmonic mean. So I'll take these two on in the denominator like this. So it is a into b upon a plus b by 2. So a plus b by 2 is my am, a into b is my gm square. You just put values here. So HM is equal to gm square upon am, or gm square is equal to am into HM, or gm is equal to root of arithmetic mean into harmonic mean. So in this way you can show that in case of two observations A and B, gm square is equal to am into HM. Otherwise that means when n is number of observations are greater than 2, this relationship always holds. So this is universal thing, that arithmetic mean is always greater than or equal to gm is always greater than or equal to hm. So remember this, the relationship between three types of computational average, AM, GM and HM. Now the first type of positional average is median. So my median is the middlemost value. So it is midpoint of the data set when we arrange the observations in increasing or decreasing order of their magnitude. So this is my simple definition of median. So median is that value of the variable which divides the distribution into two equal parts. Now when you consider median, one has to arrange the observations in particular order, that is either ascending order or descending order, and you have to consider the middlemost observation. Now when we have suppose n observations, individual observations, say x1, x2, xn, then my first step is you first arrange the observations in order of their magnitude. Now when n is odd, we have the middlemost observation is equivalent to n plus 1 by 2. For example, if n is 9, then 9 plus 1 by 2. 9 plus 1 by 2 is 10 by 2, that is 5. So my observation 5 is the middle one. So in 9 observations, 5th observation is the middle observation. That means 4 observations are less than 5th observation and 4 observations are greater than 5th observation. So when n is odd, we can easily get the middlemost observation by just computing n plus 1 by 2. So n plus 1 by 2 is my n plus 1 by 2th observation, that is 5th observation. So whatever the value of the 5th observation is my median. But when n is even, we have two middlemost observations. For example, if n is equal to say 12 is even, then 6th and 7th observations are my middlemost observations. So that 5 observations are less than 6 and 7, and 6th and 7th observation, and 5 observations are more than 7th observation. So in this case we don't have a middlemost value. So what you do? You take the average of n by 2th observation and n by 2th plus 1th observation. That means you take, when n is equal to 12, n by 2 means 6th observation, and n by 2 plus 1 means 7th observation. So there are two observations, 6th and 7th observation. You take average of these two observations, and this value is such that exactly 50% of the observations will be less than that observation, and 50% of the observations are more than this. So in case of even number of observations, you have to consider two middlemost observations, n by 2th and n by 2 plus 1th, and you take arithmetic mean of these two observations. In case of discrete frequency distribution, That is, when we have xi values with frequency fi, you just compute n, capital N by 2. So n by 2th observation will be the median when you arrange the observations in increasing order, that is in the less than type of frequency curve. In case of continuous frequency distribution, median is obtained by graphical method, that is with using less than type Ogive curve. So in less than type Ogive curve, these are the cumulative frequencies of the less than type. Here we have class boundaries on x-axis, and actually your x value is your upper class limit. 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120 are the upper class boundaries, because in order to draw Ogive curve of the less than type, we plot less than type cumulative frequencies with upper class limits. Okay, so in this case, if this value is exactly equal to n by 2, you just draw perpendicular from this particular point on this curve and from this curve on x-axis. The foot of the perpendicular is nothing but your value of median. So this is the graphical method to find median for continuous type of frequency distribution, and the same formula we use by our method of interpolation. So median is equal to L plus H upon Fk into the bracket n by 2 minus Fk minus 1. Each and everything has a special meaning. That means what we do, we first will locate a median class. So median class is the class in which your n by 2 lies. So here 100 to 110 is the class in which your value of n by 2 lies. Therefore 100 to 110 is called as median class or kth class. So this is your kth class. So frequency of this class is given by Fk. H is the length of the class interval of this median class. L is the lower boundary of the median class, which is equal to 100. And Fk minus 1 is this particular distance, Fk minus C. Fk minus 1 is the cumulative frequency of the class just below the median class. And median class is the class where your n by 2 is, Fk is just greater than n by 2. So in this way you can compute your median. Now suppose here your discrete frequency distribution, number of student absents in a day and number of days. Suppose this is the data from certain class. Here there are 2 days such that each and every student is present in the class. There is only 1 day where one student is absent from the class. There are 10 days in which 3 students are absent from the class. So this is less than type cumulative frequency. Now here if you take the total number of days are 2 plus 3 plus 10 plus 4 plus 1 plus 2, which is equal to 22. So what is my n by 2? My n by 2 is 22 upon 2, that is 11. You just see where this n by 2 lies in less than type cumulative frequency. So it is the 11 doesn't lie between 2 and 3. It doesn't lie between 3 and 7, but it lies between 7 and 17. So 7 is less than 11 is less than 17. 7 is less than n by 2 is less than 17. So this class, the pink color class, is my median class, and therefore my value of median is here 3. So here in this case median of the observation, all observations is 3. Okay, so this 3 is the observation such that exactly 11 observations are less than 3 and 11 observations are greater than or equal to 3. You can do it very easily. So you write down 0, 0 2 times, then write 1 time, then write 2 4 times, then write 3 10 times, then write 4 3 times, then write 5 2 times. If you arrange the observations in this way, 22 observations, then your middlemost observation is 11. So your 11th observation will be 3. So in this way you can find out median for less than type using less than type cumulative frequency in case of discrete data. Actually this is median by graphical method. So you can draw your less than type ogive and the value corresponding to n by 12th observation is your median. So this is my less than type ogive. Here we have n by 2, my so median is just greater than 60. If I write the scale properly, I can definitely determine the value of median. So median is the value. Let us discuss some merits and demerits of median. So median, definition of median is very easy to understand and also easy to calculate for non-mathematical person also. And median is not affected, absolutely not affected by extreme observations, because in order to compute median, we just consider the center of the data sets. We don't consider the things which are on both ends. So at extremities, we actually don't look at what are the types of observations at the extremities, at the lower end or at the upper end. So median are the measures of central tendency which are absolutely not affected by extreme observation. Further, you can compute median for qualitative data also. We can compute median for quantitative data, but we can also compute median for qualitative type of data. It can be determined graphically with the help of less than or more than type ogive curve. Further, we can compute median in case of open-end classes also, because we don't require the extreme observations. So these are actually merits of median. What are the demerits of median? So we have to arrange the observations in certain order, that is either increasing or decreasing. When number of observations are very large, then it is very difficult to arrange the observations in increasing order or decreasing order of their magnitude. Further, median is a positional average, and which is we recollect it from center, so it doesn't consider all observations. So median is not based on all observations in the data, and therefore it is less sensitive to data set. Further, median is not suitable for further algebraic manipulations. Just like arithmetic mean, we cannot compute median for the grouped observations or like that. Further, median is affected more by sampling fluctuations as compared to the other averages. So these are the demerits of arithmetic mean. Now, in the next lecture, we are going to discuss the second type of positional average, that is your mode of the data set. So up till now we have discussed arithmetic mean, then different types of computational average like geometric mean and harmonic mean. Further we discuss trim mean and weighted mean, and we discuss some merits and demerits of arithmetic mean as well as median, and the situations where geometric mean and harmonic mean can be applied, that we have discussed. Now we will, in the next lecture, we will go for mode. Actually, mode means fashion or most popular type. So we will discuss first what do you mean definition of mode, then formula for computation of mode for three types of data sets, that is for n individual observations x1, x2, xn, in case of discrete frequency distribution, in case of continuous frequency distribution, how you can determine the mode graphically, then we will discuss merits and demerits of mode also. So today I will stop here, and the next lecture will be given in the next day. Okay, thank you all of you.